Much to me, folks, the advertising was at a minimum. The promotion was at a minimum. And then 1 week before the qualifier started, TNT heard the buzz. TNT heard the chatter, and they said, oh, yeah, that's right. We got to get this Caitlin Clark stimulus package. We got to cash in some way because Unrivaled is wasting us money.
TNT heard those buses rolling in. They caught sight of the viewer counts, felt the energy building, and boom, they rushed to secure FIBA basketball rights just 11 days before Caitlin Clark would debut with Team USA. March 5th, 2025 was when TNT Sports and FIBA signed their multi-year exclusive deal for US English language broadcasting. This timing wasn't some happy accident. This was panic mode. Because Unrivaled, that flashy new venture that promised to transform women's basketball, was watching viewers disappear and cash flow problems mount. They desperately needed the Caitlin Clark effect however they could get it.
This person, very sensible comment right here. Very sensible statement. Only one of these players isn't playing in Unrivaled. So if the ratings there go above 200,000, there's only one reason. We already know it, but it'll be nice to remind the slows once again that their faves aren't the needle. We are ready. Keep in mind.
So here's what went down on March 13th, 2025. Team USA Women's Basketball took the court for their FIBA World Cup qualifying matchup. But get this, it didn't air on TNT, not on their main channel, not during prime hours. Instead, it landed on True TV. Yeah, that same network known for endless Impractical Jokers marathons. And even with basically zero marketing push, even with less than 7 days to spread the word, even buried on their third-tier channel, that game grabbed 334,000 viewers. Now this is where things get really awkward for everyone who spent 12 months telling us Unrivaled was the future of women's basketball. That 334,000 on True TV absolutely crushed Unrivaled's typical audience by more than triple. Unrivaled's second season pulled in just over 120,000 viewers on average across both TNT and True TV. Focus only on the TNT broadcasts, and Unrivaled managed 156,000 viewers. Still got demolished by a True TV game with 1 week of hype.
TNT product, simulcast on HBO Max and True TV, just like FIBA. But FIBA didn't get the TNT time slot. It was True TV or an HBO Max stream. Unrivaled year 2 ratings fell 40% from the year prior.
We're talking about 121,000 viewers here. The Unrivaled Championship game, their season finale, the biggest moment of their entire campaign, managed 314,000 viewers on TNT. That was their absolute peak performance. Primetime slot, flagship network, maximum marketing blitz, every advantage possible, and it still couldn't match a random Thursday FIBA qualifier with Caitlin Clark on True TV. Just think about the implications there. Unrivaled had Paige Burkers, they featured Angel Reese, they showcased Brianna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, Araik Ogunbowale. Star talent everywhere you looked. They had TNT's entire production powerhouse supporting them. They had cross-promotional opportunities on Max. They had every possible advantage except the one player who actually drives television ratings. And those numbers laid out the truth in the most brutal way possible.
You will see a number. And that number is persons 2+ total viewership and the rank for Thursday, March 12th, 2026. You scroll all the way down to the FIBA qualifying game in the middle of your screen. Right here. Ranked 51st in television viewership, 334.
Nobody in the WNBA power structure wants to face this reality. If that FIBA broadcast had gotten the TNT treatment instead of True TV, we're looking at 650,000 viewers easily, probably pushing 800,000, because we've witnessed exactly what Caitlin Clark does to viewership numbers when she gets proper promotional support and network placement. Her Indiana Fever games pulled over 1.2 million viewers on average throughout the 2024 WNBA season. Her playoff appearances hit 2.5 million. Her Iowa College games routinely crossed 3 million viewers, but TNT couldn't offer her the premium time slot. They had contractual commitments to Unrivaled. They'd poured money into this league, marketed it as revolutionary, so they tucked the FIBA game away on True TV, kept the advertising minimal, and crossed their fingers that nobody would draw the obvious comparisons. Problem is, everybody drew those comparisons. Social media caught it, fans spotted it, and critically, advertisers took notice.
Still falling short of Caitlin Clark FIBA basketball on True TV. We're comparing True TV numbers to TNT numbers, and they still can't compete. Still fall short of the ultimate goal. Shocker. You look at the finals ratings on TNT and True TV, 314,000. So the most anticipated, hyped up event that Unrivaled has, the championship game.
Programming industry analysts ranked that FIBA game 51st in overall television viewership for Thursday, March 13th, 2025. 51st place on True TV with 7 days of promotion. That's not just solid numbers, that's remarkable performance. That's cracking the top 50 on a network most viewers forget exists, going head-to-head with established primetime shows on major broadcast networks. And here's what makes this absolutely devastating for Unrivaled. Only one player from that Team USA roster skipped Unrivaled's second season. Just one. Caitlin Clark was the lone major absence. Paige Buchers competed in Unrivaled. Angel Reese played in Unrivaled. Every other big name on that FIBA squad had just wrapped up their Miami competition with Unrivaled. So when those ratings hit 334,000, more than doubling Unrivaled's typical performance, there was exactly one variable that shifted. Only one explanation for that rating surge. And everybody understood precisely who drove those numbers.
Promoted for about a week, less than, and this is the number that we get. Yeah, TNT, they're calling Caitlin Clark as we speak, trying to get her in Unrivaled. Trying to get her in Unrivaled as we speak. Only one of the players on the national team didn't play in Unrivaled. So you can see why those numbers boosted up.
The breakdown gets even worse when you examine how Unrivaled's second season ratings dropped 40% from their inaugural year. 40% isn't some minor adjustment or seasonal fluctuation. That's complete structural collapse, from approximately 200,000 average viewers in Season 1 crashing down to 120,000 in Season 2. And this was supposed to be their breakthrough moment. They had bigger star power, superior production values, expanded promotional campaigns, everything lined up perfectly except sustainable viewer interest. The league's co-founders, Brianna Stewart and Nafiessa Collier, had promised innovation and transformation. They'd committed to revolutionizing the game, providing players with what they deserved: higher compensation, improved working conditions, year-round professional basketball opportunities in America. All admirable objectives. But none of those goals matter if audiences aren't tuning in, and audiences simply weren't engaged, not in numbers that justify the financial investment, not in numbers that excite advertising partners, not in numbers that sustain professional sports leagues long term.
You said Monday was the deadline. By Monday was the deadline. No deal was reached yesterday. And now we're into Monday. There's still no deal being reached. What are we doing here, Kathy? How can we even support this? How can we even be on your side when you guys are just getting pushed around? When your deadlines don't mean anything. When your deadlines are about as strong as an NDA. Not very strong. not very strong.
Your deadline window is closing fast. Meanwhile, WNBA collective bargaining agreement talks kept dragging past every stated deadline. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert announced Monday, March 16th as the final deadline for completing negotiations. Monday arrived and passed with no agreement. She claimed both sides were making meaningful progress, that everyone wanted to continue discussions, that the final deal would be historic once finalized. But deadlines without enforcement aren't actually deadlines, they're wishful thinking. And when your wishful thinking keeps getting ignored, it exposes something fundamental about your bargaining strength. The major roadblocks remain revenue distribution and housing arrangements. Yes, housing arrangements. Professional athletes earning six-figure salaries are insisting the league cover their housing expenses during the season. Not housing allowances, not salary increases to offset housing costs. Direct league provided housing, as if these are amateur college players under NCAA restrictions instead of professional women, perfectly capable of securing their own living arrangements. Connecticut Sun general manager Darius Salgila described it as admirable that both parties refused to quit negotiating. Union external counsel Deb Willig expressed hope for reaching agreement within 15 to 20 hours, but acknowledged this has been an unusual negotiation process. Translation: it's chaos. Nobody has control of the situation, and the season launch date approaches while everyone pretends these deadlines have meaning.
Made some progress. Adds, quote, she would hope a term sheet gets done in the next 15 to 20 hours, but it's been an unusual investigation. Honestly, with all of this talk of progress and all this talk of, progress and all this talk of movement, I'm beginning to think not much progress is being made. I'm beginning to think not much movement is being had. Because now we're just regurgitating the same thing over and over and over and over. Get a deal done and leave me alone. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, that would mean so much to me.
Time to connect these pieces. TNT made substantial investments in Unrivaled. They provided premium broadcast slots on TNT and True TV, cross-promoted content on Max, dedicated their complete production infrastructure to support it, and watched it fail to generate sustainable viewership. So what was their response? They changed direction completely. They secured FIBA broadcasting rights, specifically because they understood Caitlin Clark would be competing. They recognized Paige Bueckers and Angel Reese would participate too, but let's be realistic about what motivated that decision. They needed the Clark viewership boost because Unrivaled couldn't provide it, and here's what makes this especially telling about women's basketball's current state. The establishment spent 2024 trying to minimize Caitlin Clark's influence. They insisted it was about the complete rookie class, about league-wide development, about rising tides lifting all boats. Then Unrivaled launched without her, and those boats started sinking. Ratings collapsed, excitement disappeared, and suddenly TNT was scrambling to get her on their broadcast through any means necessary, even if it meant hiding the game on True TV. The FIBA MVP voting created its own drama. Caitlin Clark dominated fan voting throughout March 13th. Then mysteriously, during the final 5 minutes, Paige Bueckers received an additional 10,000 votes that materialized from nowhere. Fans immediately suspected Bueckers' supporters of vote manipulation. Whether that accusation holds truth or not, the fact that it sparked controversy demonstrates how charged these comparisons have become. Every interaction between Clark and other stars faces intense analysis. Every statistical comparison becomes weaponized. Every ratings report turns into evidence in endless debates about who truly drives women's basketball interest. But mathematics doesn't lie and never has. Caitlin Clark on True TV with minimal promotion outperformed Unrivaled's championship game on TNT with maximum promotional support. That's not perspective or storytelling, that's pure data. And TNT executives who access far more comprehensive analytics than the public reviewed those numbers and made their choice. They're contacting Caitlin Clark's representation right now, trying to determine how to involve her in future programming.
Unrivaled for Season 3, because they can't afford another 40% ratings drop. They can't afford to keep hemorrhaging money on a league that promised revolution but delivered diminishing returns. The broader lesson here is about honesty in sports media. For months, we've been told that women's basketball's growth is about more than one player. That's true in the sense that you need quality basketball and compelling storylines beyond a single star. But it's completely false in the sense that television ratings are driven by marquee names. The NBA learned this decades ago. You can have the best basketball in the world, but if casual fans don't recognize the names, they're not tuning in. Caitlin Clark is the name that casual fans recognize. She's the player who brings in viewers who don't normally watch women's basketball. And when she's not playing, those viewers disappear. Unrivaled tried to prove that wrong. They assembled an all-star roster. They created a unique 3-on-3 format. They paid players well. They gave them equity stakes. They did everything right from a business structure perspective. But they couldn't overcome the fundamental reality that most of America doesn't know who Nafisa Collier is. They don't know Breanna Stewart's career achievements. They don't follow Arake Ogunbowale's scoring titles. Those are stars within the WNBA ecosystem. Caitlin Clark is a star in mainstream American sports culture. There's a difference, a massive, measurable, ratings-defining difference. And that difference is why TNT made their desperate pivot to FIBA basketball. It's why they're willing to air games on True TV just to get her on their network. It's why advertisers pay premium rates for her games compared to other WNBA broadcasts. It's why the Indiana Fever went from league afterthought to must-watch television overnight when they drafted her. The establishment can pretend this isn't true. They can promote other players. They can try to distribute attention more evenly. But the market has spoken. The ratings have spoken. And they've said the same thing consistently for 2 years now. Caitlin Clark is the needle. Not one of the needles, not part of a collection of needles. She is the needle, and every time someone tries to prove otherwise, the experiment fails. Unrivaled without Clark. Failed. WNBA playoffs without Fever games? Ratings dropped 60% from earlier rounds? All-Star game without her as the primary draw? Solid, but not spectacular. Team USA with her? Suddenly True TV is pulling 334,000 viewers for a qualifying game that nobody expected to watch.
WNBA collective bargaining negotiations are unfolding against this context. Players are pushing for increased salaries and improved conditions, completely reasonable demands. But those requests assume the league generates sustainable revenue capable of supporting such increases. Does it actually? The 2024 season demonstrated massive ratings growth, but how much of that growth was Caitlin Clark specific versus league-wide improvement? How much will continue in 2025 and beyond? How much converts to actual revenue rather than just viewership metrics? These are difficult questions nobody in WNBA leadership wants to address, honestly, because honest answers reveal uncertainty. We don't know if 2024's ratings explosion was a Caitlin Clark phenomenon that will diminish as casual fans lose interest, or if it represented genuine expansion of women's basketball's fan base. We don't know if sponsors will maintain premium rates if Clark suffers injury or her team misses playoffs. We don't know if the league can sustain 12 teams, much less expand to the 16 they're planning. What we do know is Unrivaled couldn't maintain itself without her presence. We know TNT reviewed those numbers and immediately shifted strategy to secure her appearances through FIBA basketball. We know every ratings report confirms identical patterns. When she plays, people watch. When she doesn't, they don't. That's not diminishing other players or disrespecting the league. That's acknowledging facts. So here's the critical question. What happens if Caitlin Clark grows tired of carrying the entire league's burden? What happens if she decides the pressure isn't worthwhile? What happens if she takes time off, if injury disrupts her career, or if she burns out from constant scrutiny and debate? Does the WNBA survive? Does Unrivaled survive? Do these television contracts survive? The answer should frighten everyone involved, because currently the entire economic foundation of American women's professional basketball depends on the assumption that Caitlin Clark will continue playing, performing, and attracting viewers. That's not sustainable business strategy. That's a precarious foundation, and the fact that TNT desperately pivoted to FIBA basketball just to get her on their network proves they understand this reality. They're not investing in women's basketball broadly. They're investing in Caitlin Clark specifically. And when that investment becomes this transparent, this frantic, this obvious, it exposes how unstable the entire system actually is. So absolutely, those FIBA ratings demolished Unrivaled. They revealed the gap between marketing hype and actual performance. They confirmed what we already understood, but too many refused to acknowledge. And they forced TNT to reveal their strategy. They need her. Unrivaled needs her. The WNBA needs her. Whether anyone wants to admit it publicly or not, that's reality, and the data confirms it every single time.